It's time for the Movin the Chains podcast. Your home for high school football coverage in the Palmetto State. Every team, every game, every week. And now your hosts, Kevin Thomas and John Epps.
Hey guys, Kevin Thomas, John Epps here, moving the chains with our round one playoff preview special. John, I know we do it every year. This is one of our favorite shows, and a lot of times we kind of break it up into 1 and 2 and 3A and 4 and 5, so I do it all just at once tonight. John, I'm really looking forward to these playoffs.
Tell you what, we're going to get a little bit of a warm-up here in the first round, I think. It's good to have a full playoff field. Last year we only had 2 schools from each region make the playoffs, which was exciting in its own right, but it's good to see the whole field. It does give us a little bit of, honestly, a few lackluster games here. But that's okay. That's okay. Good to see as many kids make the playoffs and as many of these kids to get to extend their season for the 12th graders, extend their high school career, and that gives us more opportunity for some upsets too.
Yeah, that's one thing we talked about today. We're getting ready for the show. Is that there's not a lot of great games in round one. Maybe a couple per class, 2, 3, maybe 4 at the max. A lot of them should be leaning one way or the other due to just it being a larger field than last year, John. But this is you guys' first time tuning in. We really appreciate it. We do our preview shows live on Tuesday here on Facebook. So follow us on Facebook, like, share, comment, tell your friends. Also, we have a Twitter and Instagram profile at Movin the Chains, MOVINCHAINS, MOVINCHAINS. We do a recap show, comes out on Sundays. Audio only version for that. It's on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast at. So check us out on all platforms. We have some good stuff coming out the playoffs for you guys. We plan on being at some games still, hopefully covering some of the All-Star games as well as the championship game. So definitely follow along. The season's not over quite yet. So definitely keep tuning in there with us. But, John, I want to give a quick shout-out here. We've got Zach in here, Hunter in here, Derek, Haley's, Quinn and Kendall Law in here. Derek's got a Lakeview Gator already going. Now he's pumped by that big region championship win last week. Eric Creek says, salute to Andrew Jackson. Looks intriguing. That is 1 and 2 we're looking at for sure, John. Let's kick it off here. Go with 1A. We'll go ahead and apologize to you guys. Well, since we did this show all together, we ran out of time on getting everything looking real fancy. But we'll make it work. 1A, we've got the bracket here for you guys, John. I'm going to read through it here, and we'll kind of hit up a couple games to jump out at us. In Upper State, we've got Southside Christian hosting Wilson Elko, C.A. Johnson hosting Wagner Sally, Calhoun County gets a bye, round 1, McBee hosting Ware Shoals, Richmond Minetta hosting Whitmire, Dixie hosting Great Falls, Lamar hosting Blackfield Hilda, and McCormick hosting Denmark Olar. Anyone in Upper State that you want to make a mention of there, John, before we move into the lower?
I tell you what, it's pretty impressive that out of all the schools, Calhoun County gets a bye. You would think, hey, if anybody deserves that bye, you would think it'd be number 1, Southside Christian. But Calhoun County getting that bye, so that's a pretty big advantage for them, I think.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in that Upper State there, none of these games really jump out at me. And, Great Falls has been kind of up and down. They could make a game of this against Dixie. I don't know. Besides that, I think it's pretty much chalk. The best game, I would say, is probably Denmark, Olar, McCormick. Both these teams can score some points there. It should be a good one there. Looking at Lower State, John, we got C.E. Murray hosting Cross, Branchville hosting Johnsonville, Lakeview hosting Estill, Whale Branch hosting East Clarendon, Bamberg-Earhart hosting Hannah Pamplico, Carver's Bay hosting St. John's, Baptist Hill hosting Scotts Branch, and Green Sea Floyd's hosting Allendale Fairfax. I tell you, this Lower State looks a little more intriguing to me, John. One that I'm really excited for is Bamberg-Earhart hosting Hannah Pamplico.
That one jumped out to me as well. Tough draw for both of them, honestly. But, Hannah Pamplico's had a really good season. And they played pretty good here late in the year as well. Bamberg Earhart, always a tough matchup.
Yep.
Those guys were undefeated, playing incredible defense all season. But yet, Hannah Pamlico, not going to be an easy out for these guys.
Not at all.
Hannah Pamlico, their defense struggled a little bit throughout the season, a little bit inconsistent. But for a 4-3 club and we've got them as a 4 seed there in Region 5, but they are a good team. Johnsonville got the 3 seed in this one. They tied in region play, both of them 2-2. Johnsonville won that tiebreaker. Hannah Pamlico, a really, really good number 4 seed.
Yeah, that's a team that can score some points. The posting kid at quarterback, Ellison, there running the ball for them. They pulled some upsets earlier in the year, so they certainly had to play. I mean, Lakeview knows all about that. They got knocked out by Hannah Pamlico there early in the year. Johnsonville, another team that kind of jumped out at me, that Johnsonville and Branchville game. A Johnsonville team that can score as well. They can make some noise there in the playoffs. But besides those two, I think there's a lot of chalk in that. I think Green Sea Floyd's a 2-3 there. Might take I don't know if I think they're a good bit better than Green Sea Floyd's is. Anything else you want to hit on there while I look at some of the comments as you chat there for a second, Sean?
Yeah, I think what we have here is that Region 5 is Lakeview, Green Sea Floyd's, Johnsonville, Hannah Pamlico. That is, in my opinion, that's the best region in the lower state for 1A, and really it might be, I think, arguably the best region in the state. There's a couple bigger regions in upper state that have some good schools, but for sure in the lower state. So Region 6 gets a little bit of a tough draw. Outside of Bamberg, Earhart, Branchville, Allendale, Fairfax, and Estill, getting a little bit of a tough draw matching up against Region 5.
Yeah, let's see. What we got here. Curtis says Bamberg will be interesting. Sellers is a good wide receiver, but for HP, but the Bamberg defense is solid. Yeah, Bamberg can really play defense. Coach Crosby does a good job with those guys on there. HP can score with Coach Johnson there. I think you got to take Bamberg at home. They're a very good team. I think that Bamberg team's hungry. They want to prove that somebody can play with Southside Christian. They're ready to get there and hopefully win that lower state bracket. Thomas says Calhoun Kenneth played the 5th spot in Region 7, which is an 0-9 team. So I think that might have been Burke who canceled that game. They kind of pulled out. Bill Hensley says, good evening, fellas. Appreciate you tuning in, Bill. We appreciate it. Let's see a couple comments about 2 and 3. We'll get back to those later. Derek says he takes every game serious, whether the first seed or the last seed. Bamberg HP is going to be fire. Yes, I agree. That's one of, honestly, out of all 5 games, that's one of the games I'm looking at the most, that Bamberg HP game. But that will be a lot of fun there, John. Before we move out of 1A, who's maybe a sleeper team, maybe a favorite you've got for the whole playoffs? I know we're going to keep going through this every week, but just early predictions. Who's your sleeper, and maybe who do you have winning both lower and upper there?
I think we talk about Southside a lot, talk about Bamberg a lot. One school that we haven't talked about a ton this year that we typically talk about a lot is Lamar.
Yeah.
They still secured a 1 seed. They still won their region. I think Lamar is still going to be a really, really tough game. They lost 3 games this year. Yeah. I get that.
But they're bigger schools, right?
Bigger schools.
Yeah.
I think Lamar is going to be a tough out for everyone. And I'll tell you what, they would not meet Southside until much later on if we get there. But I think Lamar is my team to really make some noise.
Yeah, and I think about Lamar too. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong here. And Rashodi, I know you're a Lamar guy, so if you're in here, definitely let me know. I had heard that Lamar lost their quarterback a few weeks ago, and they had gone to a strictly kind of wing T wishbone offense without him.
Okay.
And if that's the case, that's a different animal right there. Lamar always has big kids. We know that. So if they start just pounding on you, that could get out of hand. It's hard to go against a favorite Southside Christian and then a Bamberg down there. Lakeview, a team that can make noise, but my worry about Lakeview is that we've seen them a couple games maybe not be 100%. Maybe they sat and showed up as much as we think they would in some games. They've had some very nice wins as well. I like what they're doing there. Will be a great matchup no matter who plays kind of in that lower state final there. But I think I'm going to lean towards Southside winning it all. Probably Bamberg in the lower state. And a sleeper team, I know Thomas had the same one in here. Zach had it in here. Calhoun County. Team that's got some big wins.
Yeah.
They beat Barnwell earlier this year. Had a few other nice ones. They can make some noise, and getting a bye in that round 1. That's huge as well.
That's a big deal.
Let's see. Chad says, "What's up, guys? Hope Fort D doesn't look past Berkeley." Yeah, jumping ahead to 5A. That game actually got moved to Thursday. I saw, Chad. So Fort D and Berkeley now on a Thursday night there in that one. John, anything else you want to hit on in round 1 for 1A before moving into the 2A brackets?
I don't think so. I'm excited. I think we're going to see our typical typical guys, I think, as we get through here. But let's keep an eye on Upper State because we talk about Southside, how good they are, and they should breeze through everything. But if you take away Southside and you look at all these other guys in here, the Calhoun Counties, Wagner South, Grand Calhoun County not playing this week, but our Wagner Sally, Richmond Minetta, Dixie, Great Falls, Blackville Hill, McCormick. There's a lot of teams that we'll see what happens here. It's good to see. I see McCormick and Denmark Olar playing here in the first round. McCormick and Wagner Sally played first round last year. Had a thriller. Very high scoring game in that first round. We would not see them until much later. But my point is, these are two teams that can really play some good football.
Yeah.
And I know we're all sold on Southside, but we can see some good games here in 1A earlier than we do in some of the bigger classes.
I agree. Just because the bracket's a little bit different. Now you see like a couple 3 seeds matching up here. You see some things where usually in the 4 and 5A and 3A you don't see that. It's a little more disparity there in that round 1. But let's Curtis says Calhoun County dangerous, loads of playmakers on offense. Agreed there with that, John. Let's look into 2A here. One of my favorites this year, honestly, is this 2A bracket. Just a lot of talent, upper and lower state. But I'm going to read through that quick, kind of give some thoughts. We've got Abbeville, the 1 seed, hosting Blacksburg. Saluda hosting Andrew Jackson. Gray Collegiate hosting North Central. Chesney hosting Crescent. St. Joe's hosting 96. Christchurch hosting Batesburg Leesville. Chesterfield hosting Columbia. Landrum hosting Newberry. Silver Bluff gets a bye round 1. Lee Central hosting Central. Sherrall hosting Latta. Timberland hosting Pillion. Marion hosting Barnwell. Andrews hosting Woodland. Philip Simmons hosting Mullins. And Wade Hampton hosting Lake Marion, John. A lot of games here I want to talk about. But I'll start with this one in Upper State here if we look at that one. Saluda Andrew Jackson. I know somebody mentioned this earlier. I think that Saluda has had a very good year. I believe they just lost to Gray. And they lost to Raven County with Gunnar Stockton out there. But they can play. They've got a pretty solid defense, some good playmakers on offense there. Andrew Jackson is a team that we were high on earlier in the year. Played some really good defense. You worry about how tested they are a little bit in that region. It's kind of been up and down. I think Sherrall ended up winning that region with their win over Chesterfield last week. But just you don't know how deep that is for the teams like Central, North Central, and Buford in there. I think Saluda's the better team, but Andrew Jackson's a team that could definitely sneak up on them.
I think so too. You look at Saluda's coming out of Region 4, and gosh, is there a better region in 2A than Region 4 in the Upper State? You got Gray, Saluda, Newberry, Batesburg, Leesville, and then at the bottom of the region, Columbia and Oak Cliff.
Very deep.
Those top 4, very, very, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So Saluda certainly tested, and they've had a very good season. They beat who they should beat, and they lost it. Who you expect them to have some trouble against. Now, I think, though, they're matched up with Region 3 here. Region 3, they kind of beat up on themselves a little bit. Nobody came out of that region undefeated. But those are some schools that can put up some points. Chesterfield for sure. And Andrew Jackson's a good team. They are a good team.
Yes.
I think Saluda's a little bit better. But I think it'd be a good game. I think this would be one of those like you said, one of these round 1 games that could be a pretty good game.
Yeah, Zach says if Saluda stays healthy on offense, they can go far, if not all the way. Yes, the Saluda, so they've had those couple tough losses, but that's it, really. They've played some very good football this year. And looking at another game here I wanted to talk about, John, in the Upper State. I think, we're on the same page here. We think Abbeville is going to roll. We think Gray Collegiate's going to roll. And, Casey Adams, I think, is right around the 2,000-yard mark if he didn't quite hit it last week. He had 300-plus yards, 6 TDs last week in 3 quarters. Unreal stat line. Probably get 2,000 this week if he hadn't already there. We think they roll. We think Chesney probably wins. St. Joe's, same deal. Christchurch, a team we haven't talked about much. They hung tough with Abbeville for a quarter or two last week. They really did. They shouldn't have any problem with Batesburg Leesville. Chesterfield should beat Columbia. Newberry Landrum, a 3-3 matchup there. I like Newberry in this one. Coach Strickland, last season for him still. I think these guys are going to make a run for him. I like them at home, even though it's a 3-3 matchup there in round 1.
Yeah, and Newberry was team a little bit disappointed. This year they went 4-5 overall. Now they were 3-2 in at Region 4 in that very, very tough region.
And they played some big schools. They played AC4, I believe it was. Hung tough with those guys for a while, or maybe it was Chapin, one or the other. But yeah.
What I'm concerned about with Christchurch yeah, they played well. They're a good team, but gosh, you look at the rest of the region. They're playing Landrum. Correct, Landrum. Landrum's region just isn't that great. And they went 1-2 in that region. You know, I think Newberry is the better team here.
Yeah,
I
I
like
agree.
Newberry. I've been to a game in Landrum before. It's a cool place to go to a game.
Yeah.
They kind of they give me some kind of Chapman vibes. They're kind of hidden away
Yep.
up there, top of the state, and they play some tough brand of football. But Newberry's a good team. I like Newberry.
Yeah, Newberry home is going to be tough for sure. Good to see them get another playoff game for Coach Strickland.
Yeah.
That's cool there.
I think
See
they're
how
gonna
that
get a couple.
goes. Yeah, I think so too. Looking down here into the lower half, I know we had a comment from Brad said Burke forfeited to Bluff. They didn't want to buy. Yeah. I heard Burke had some issues down there. I don't know if it was a COVID thing or could be those boys ready to play basketball. That's a big
Who
basketball
knows?
school.
Who knows?
Could have been that. Who knows? But Silver Bluff probably the favorite in lower state. You would think they're John best in the polls. A team we haven't talked about much, Lee Central, that 2 seed there hosting Central. Lee Central is a program that didn't play any football last year due to COVID. So hats off to those guys seeing them. I think they went 6-2, something like that this year. John, I believe if you got the records there. 4-2. I think they had played more games. I'm not sure. But anyway, not play football last year at all and to come back, get that 2 seed out of that region, very impressive for them. A game I'm looking at round 1, Marion Barnwell. Typically, you don't see Barnwell as a 4 seed.
No.
They had some tough losses late. You know, they got smoked by River Bluff. Got beat by Wade Hampton 19-0 last week. Not a bad loss there. Play tough. And then lost to Pelion. They lost to Calhoun County earlier in the year. I don't know what to make about this Barnwell team. I know they've got some athletes. I worry about the Small Foxes on the other side. Have they been tested this year, John?
Yeah, and I think not a ton. And Marion, but they earned my respect for what they did last year.
Yeah.
Rolling through the playoffs. But you know what? They're 7-0.
Yeah.
Nobody's beat them. Nobody's beat them. And Andrews, not a bad club.
Mm-hmm.
Lee Central, they won some games this year.
Yep.
You know, it's impressive they beat them. I can't say Marion's going to lose a game because they haven't done it yet. They haven't done it all year.
You know, they beat Carver's Bay week 0, and that was when Carver's Bay had their star running back. That was a very good Carver's Bay team at that time, too. So they've got a couple nice wins there. You know, first-year head coach Brian Hennessy, I don't know how much a lot of the talent left. You know, like some of their big players like the Quali Crawford, T.J. Sanders are graduated there. But they keep on rolling. But that's one of the lowest that I've got my eye on is that Marion Barnwell game there. Another one, John, I was looking at, Woodland Andrews, another 3-3 matchup there. Andrews hosting. I think Andrews wins that ball game. And then another one, a team that's been kind of sneaky, Pelion going on the road to Timberland. Timberland had a tough loss to Philip Simmons a couple weeks ago. I'm not very high on Pelion, but they've had a couple nice wins lately. What do you see happening there in that game with the Wolves and the Panthers?
They've certainly played better. Pelion is a team that we haven't talked about all year. Then the last few weeks they've picked it up a little bit. But Timberland's still good. They lost that game to Philip Simmons, but that's the only game they've lost all year. They're really good. I think they roll in this game. I think they are superior.
Yeah, a couple comments here from Eric. He says Barnwell's very young this year. Zach said Barnwell this year compared to the state runner-up team is down compared to that team. Yeah, Eric, and I believe so they got the Sanford kid at quarterback. They got this Tyler Smith at running back, really good player there. Pender is back, if I'm not mistaken. Clay Pender out there out wide for him. He's a pretty good playmaker for them, so if he can get going, they can have some good things happen. But, yeah, Barnwell, not quite the team they have been, but they've still got some talent there, and they could play with Marion. Steven Smith said just joined over Hillcrest Riverside. Yeah, no, we're going up. We're in 2A right now, working our way up to 5A. So, John, 2A before we get out of here, who's your favorites? Who's your sleepers? We'll move into 3A.
I tell you, I'm going to – obviously, it's no secret. We think Abbeville and Gray are going to be the class here, and they would meet later on. Gray's actually slotted to host that game if they get there. But my sleeper in the upper state is Chesterfield.
Yeah, they scored some points.
They light up the scoreboard. With their offense, they could really make some teams feel uncomfortable the way that they can score. I think Chesterfield, I don't know if they're good enough to beat Gray or Abbeville, but they're good enough to scare some folks.
Yep.
Those two mainly. Lower state, I really like Silver Bluff. But I tell you what, Philip Simmons has played really well.
We don't know a ton about them, but they've had some very nice wins. They do.
Marion's undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
They are the defending lower state champs. I think there's a lot that can happen in lower state. Lower state's going to be really, really fun to watch. But I think when it all comes down to it, I like Gray and I like Silver Bluff meeting up. That's it. And this is pretty fun. I don't like the way the South Carolina High School League set up the championships, and we can talk about it later another day. But their championship is Friday nights. That will be a fun Friday night game once we all get it said and done for 2A.
Yeah, looking at Upper State, obviously everybody talks about Abbeville and Gray, and you can't go against those guys. St. Joe's the other 1 seed. Haven't seen enough from those guys to really impress me there. I tell you, the thing I think that people forget about Gray is that it's not just KZ Adams. They've got a very good defense, led by guys like Torrey Kelly, KZ playing both sides of the ball. They've got guys on defense who can really stick you and play some solid defense. They're not all offense. And the way they run the ball, they're going to grind. If you get behind those guys, you're not going to catch up. I mean,
and they're well coached.
They are.
To me, that is a huge thing. It's incredible how many games we've gone to this year where we go into the game and we say, well, Greenville's probably the more talented team than Northwestern. Well, Hannah might be the more talented. I'm not sure Hannah is the more talented team.
I don't think they are anymore.
Based on Friday. But we go into these games and we have these notions of the athletes and the talent that's on one side compared to the other. And then we kick the ball off and we go, whoa, that game plan is way better than
out the window.
So I think we should talk about that more on how well some of these teams are coached. And then when you have guys like KZ Adams, that makes it all the more easier.
Makes it easy, yeah. So Abbeville and Gray, definitely the front runners. I don't know who I want to pick yet. I might save that. Lower State, I think Silver Bluff is my, Trayvon Dunbar is one of the best backs in the state. He's not talked about because he's a sophomore, John. He's a big-time player down there for the Bulldogs. Really good player. I think they're my favorite in Lower State. But if I had to pick a team to make a run to be sneaky at a Lower State, I'm looking at Wade Hampton with their good defense as well. Yeah, I think, another team out of that same region there, but they wouldn't have to match up with Silver Bluff until Lower State again. They've got a very good defense. I like Wade Hampton, and then Timberland can't sleep in the Wolves either. But
so here in the lower, here's where I get so confused. You look at the lower part of the bracket for Lower State, and you got, you got Marion, who's got that tough first round game with Barnwell.
Yep.
You got Marion, Woodland, Philip Simmons, and Wade Hampton.
Yep.
Half of that lower bracket is those guys.
Yes.
Who's going to come out of that?
Yeah.
That's a tough draw for all 4 of those guys. Silver Bluff, they got Timberland there, and Stroll's a good team too.
Yeah.
But I think that upper half of the lower bracket is a little bit easier to manage than the bottom half. That's going to be fun to watch those 8 schools go at it.
2A is going to be a lot of fun. I see a quick shout out to Eric and Derek, Chad, Natasha, Tori, Steven, Ethan's in here, Jonathan's in here, Zach, Kayvon. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This is our Round 1 playoff preview show on Moving the Chains. John, let's look into maybe my favorite class, if it's not 2A, and that's 3A.
Yeah.
You want to do Upper State, Lower State first?
Let's do Lower State.
Upper State, 3A here. A lot of really good football games. Round 1, we're looking at Chapman hosting Blue Ridge, Chester hosting BHP, Powdersville hosting Broome, Wren hosting Fairfield Central, Daniel hosting Keenan, Southside hosting Woodruff, Lower Richland hosting Seneca, Clinton hosting Palmetto. And that's all we've got there in Upper State, John. Just as you guys see, this bracket looks a lot better. Shout out John Epps for putting that together. It looks really good there. John, when we're talking 3A, I think there's 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 guys who can win the whole thing.
Yeah.
But this is just Upper State. Let's talk Upper State right quick there first.
I tell you what, the first thing that jumps out to me is I love Chapman. I think Chapman's a great program. But I tell you what, I think Chapman was one of my I got partial with a couple years ago, and I've just really liked them.
Yeah.
Ever since the first time I went up to Chapman, saw them play. But this year, I really like Powdersville. We saw them play at Berea.
Yeah.
Love the way they play. Love the way they coach. Quarterback's excellent. One of the best running backs in the state.
Yep. Thomas Williams, really good player there.
Really fun to watch. This first round, if you want to pick a first round game to go to in the Upper State, I'm telling you right now, go to Powdersville and watch Powdersville Broome. Because I think those two are going to absolutely light up the scoreboard. I think Broome is as good as Powdersville, but boy, they can score some points, but they are heavy on giving them up too. That's going to be a high-scoring affair.
A good thing for Powdersville, John, that's a rematch. They actually played, I think, week 0. Powdersville won by, I think, 2 scores early, so I'm sure both the teams have improved, obviously, so it should be a good matchup there. I tell you what, a good ball game I'm looking forward to. You mentioned that one. A couple more in that top quadrant there. Chester BHP, Ren Fairfield Central. I think those are pretty evenly matched teams, all four of those, really. Could be some good ball games there. And you look at the bottom quadrant of Upper State there. I think Woodruff pulling the upset over Southside will not surprise me at all. Southside's in that Powdersville region that's not super deep. We saw some teams like Palmetto and Berea make the playoffs, teams that we saw play that were not great, I guess you could say.
Not the strongest region there.
So not be surprised there if Woodruff beats Southside. I'm interested to see this Lower Richland team play. And we've talked about how they've had some nice wins, that they ran through their region pretty easily there. Hosting a Seneca team that we saw, good run game, passing game was non-existent pretty much. I think Lower Richland gets an easy win there. And then Clinton, I think, is going to roll against Palmetto. Any of those games you want to mention there in the Upper State 3A, John?
I am interested in the Lower Richland game because Lower Richland's another team that has had a great season. We haven't seen them play. We don't know a ton about them, but they're scoring relatively well. They're only giving up 10 points a game. They're 7-1 on the season. I'm really interested to see how good this team is.
Yeah.
We saw Seneca and I think we have a good idea what Seneca is. Mm-hmm. I think for us, this would be a good barometer on how good are the Diamond Hornets really.
Yeah. Well, that's the region, them, Chester, Throw Center, Keenan. They kind of beat up on each other, so it's hard to really tell how good those guys are. So interesting matchup there for sure. Commenter from Zach said Clinton has to play round one without the starting quarterback Davis Wilson after injuring his ankle last week. That's a tough loss there. That kid, with that offense, John, I mentioned to you, it's kind of multiple. It's kind of almost like what Coastal does, kind of the triple option, wing T, flex point, but out of like a pistol shotgun formation. So quarterback has a lot of responsibility on getting the handoffs right, getting the right, pitches, reads, whatever. So having to put him back up is tough there. The thing with Clinton, that defense is so good, man. They, they shut down a Woodruff team last week. I think held them to 17, and a couple of those scores were late. The Woodruff team's been scoring, everybody's scoring 40 plus, it seems like lately. So they've got a very good defense. They should be able to get a win over Palmetto pretty easily. And then round two against Lower Richland will be very interesting for those guys. But the team we hadn't talked about, probably everybody's favorite, Daniel. They've got a Keenan team around one that should beat Keenan. They should probably beat Southside or Woodruff round two. I don't think they really get tested until a little bit deeper against a Clinton or maybe a LR in round three. But Daniel, it's time to see, were they playing board? Are they taking a step back? What is it? I think we'll learn a lot here in round one about how good this Lions team is.
Yeah, I think now if they've been bored, understood, because they got a ton of talent and they're 9-0.
Yeah.
They beat everybody they played, and from what we understand, they've tried to play other people.
Yeah.
And people don't want to play them. People don't want Daniel to even come to their house and play them. I believe it.
Yep.
I believe that. But now, playoff time. It's time to really flex. And I mean, Keenan. I don't know how good Keenan is. They won 4 games. They went 4-3 this year, but they only won 1 region game.
Yeah.
A good region.
Yeah,
good
it
region
is.
Region 4. But they're not going to be ready to play. Their defense, from what when you're just looking at scores from Keenan, they've been giving up a lot of points all year long. That does not mix well with what Daniel has on offense. I expect Daniel's going to be able to do whatever they want.
Yep.
Now for Daniel, what do you do?
Yeah.
Do you try to just light a fire under these boys and say, hey, it's playoffs, let's go get after it right here, right now in the first round? Or do you try to hide a little bit? You got 9 games of film out there. Do you try to hold back a little bit? Or do you just – I think if I'm Daniel, I say, hey, let's play our game, but let's make sure that we don't get anybody hurt.
Yep.
Let's play a lot of guys, play as many guys as we can, and make sure we just take care of business.
Yeah, so, John, 3A – Upper State, who's your favorite? Who's your sleeper?
I tell you, I think my favorite coming out of the Upper State, it's got to be.
Think so?
I think it is. I like Chapman, but I think Chapman has some chinks in their armor that they haven't had the last few years. I was high on Chester at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
Zan Dunham's a great player for them. But they've dropped some games. They're not as consistent as I would like them to be. Lower Richland, we just don't know a ton about them. I like Clinton. I think Clinton's a really good team. But I don't know that Clinton's got the firepower to keep up with Daniel. If Daniel plays as well as they should play. My sleeper, though, Lower Richland.
Yeah.
Just because we don't know a ton about these guys yet.
Yeah.
Kind of new on the scene. I think they could be, and I love when these schools from the Midlands, I love when they're in, it doesn't really matter what classification they're upper state or lower state, because they'll play these guys in the upper state that they hardly ever get to see.
Yep.
So it's a good mix of, oftentimes different style of football too.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, Chapman and Daniel are both hard to bet against because they've got so much offensive firepower. If you need a big play, you can throw a jump ball to DJ Black, whatever it is. Daniel, Trent Pearman, go throw it to Eli Merck or whatever it is. You thought with Clinton, you're worried about if Wilson, is he healthy, for one? Does he come back? Or, sorry, Davis. Davis Wilson, right? Yeah, Davis Wilson. You wonder if he comes back healthy here in round 2. If he does, that's a good team with Copeland, with Gary, with him. An offense people don't see a ton. They can definitely be difficult. And I love that defense down there at Clinton for sure. I think, I think we're probably headed towards, people are going to kill me for this, I think we're heading towards a Clinton-Chapman rematch in Upper State.
Now, that would be, you were at that game.
Yes.
You would subscribe to that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, sign me up. I'll pay double for that one, John. I don't even care. Be a great game there for sure. Zach says Wilson will be back in the second round, he believes. So, interesting there. Let's look at 3A Lower State, John. We've got BC, Brooklyn Casey, who won that region after a couple weeks of ties there. They're taking a Walkmall at home. Hanahan hosting Lakewood, Camden hosting Bishop England, Aner hosting Arthur Wilkinson, Dillon hosting Fox Creek, Crestwood hosting Battery Creek, Oceanside Collegiate hosting Lake City, and Gilbert hosting Loris. John, I'll hop out and tell you here, not a ton of games I'm looking forward to there. I think Aner O-Dub could be good. The Blue Jackets, with that kind of run offense they do there. Arthur Wilkinson, we believe, has a pretty good defense. That could be a good ball game. Besides that, nothing jumps out at me. Lower State, maybe Gilbert Loris. I'm not sure how good Loris is, but that's really the main one. Is Aner O-Dub that jumped out at me in round 1.
That's one that jumped out at me as well. O-Dub, historically a bigger school. It's surprising to see them down here in 3A, but Aner always. Boy, you got to take Aner serious no matter who you are.
Yep.
With that turtle offense that they run, it is. It makes you adjust. But OW, I thought they've had a pretty good season this year. They're 5-5. They don't really do anything super well, but they've won their fair share of games with 3-2 in reach and play. They don't score a ton of points. They don't give up a ton of points, but they're not necessarily scary on defense. They just they play the game. So I think it'd be interesting to see. I think that's probably the closest matchup here in round 1.
Yeah, I think that's our best chance for an upset. Other than that, I think the home teams really take all those ball games. Maybe Loris, possibly, but I don't think they can do it. You think Dillon rolls, obviously, as a 1 seed. You think BC rolls as a 1 seed. You think Camden rolls over Bishop England. Oceanside is going to roll. John, who is your favorite here in 3A Lower State?
I tell you, it's Camden defending Lower State champs. I feel like they've taken just a hair of a step back. They had such a good team.
They did. A lot of talent.
I tell you what, Dillon, they've only played 6 games, but they've looked really good in those 6 games. I know we had someone telling us earlier tonight, they're not sold on Dillon. They saw them play, maybe it was last week, and they weren't sold on Dillon. I thought Brooklyn Casey looked really good when I saw them play.
Good quarterback state kid. I like him a lot. Yeah.
Very, very good player. But I think it's probably Dillon.
Yeah.
I think this could come down to. I like Camden. I like Camden really well too. I think Dillon is my top pick.
Yeah.
I think they've probably got the best talent spread out for Lower State. But my sleeper, you can't talk about Oceanside either, really. Oceanside's really.
That's my sleeper right there.
But I really like Brooklyn Casey.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Casey kind of up and down a little bit. But they are. If you go up to Chapman and you come from behind and you beat those guys, that tells me a lot. That's a big, big deal in my book. BC is my sleeper for Lower State, but I think Dillon's going to be the team to beat.
Yeah, you look at Lower State, and I feel like a lot of the teams have question marks about it. BC, we thought they looked great against Chapman, but then they come around and they lose some games later, like Strong Thurman. You don't think they're going to lose and whatnot, and then you look at Camden, and arguably their best performance was in a loss to AC Flora, a 3-0 loss. You feel like they don't have that big win you're really looking for out of a team there. Dillon, who did they play? They played Aner. They beat Aner. Besides that,
obviously they beat Lamar, and that was an impressive win.
They did.
Granted, it's that's 3A and 2A, but Yeah, that might be their best win.
Yeah, because they've had some
Damn.
cancellations. We know they had Myrtle Beach scheduled, it got canceled with COVID and whatnot, so couldn't get on the field for a while there. Oceanside, like the team, they haven't been talked about much. They can't even get in the top 10 of the poll.
No.
But, they had a couple tough losses early. Myrtle Beach, Gray Collegiate. And they really turned it on. Finished the season, I think it's 6-3 it was, 7 or something like that. That's a very good football team down there, John, that people are kind of sleeping on, I think.
And what's funny is Oceanside's been a team where they really have stacked their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
This year, not as much so, and they're in a region that I'm just not sure how good that region is.
Mm-hmm.
With Hanahan, Battery Creek, Bishop England, it seems kind of like a bunch of teams that they're okay.
Yep.
So I'll be interested once Oceanside, if they can get through round one through Lake City, how good are they really?
Yeah, Zach says don't sleep on Gilbert. Those guys can run the ball. They can really run the ball. But so it's another team where if they don't make mistakes and they get the lead, tough to play catch up on those guys. The Indians down there, they're a good football team as well. We'll be very interested to see how that turns out. We kind of went through it, I guess. So your favorite, you like Dillon.
I like them.
Dillon, I've heard, Crestwood, good defense. See what happens in round 2 against Dillon there. Win some interesting matchups. If they get past those guys, I like Dillon to make a deep run. I think Dillon's probably the favorite, and Oceanside, though, is a team I think I like also. I wish those guys were on the opposite side of that quad there.
Yeah.
But those are two guys that I like there in 3A, John. Before we move into 4A here, let's give a quick shout-out to our friends over at the George Agency, Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew. Serving insurance needs to have over 35 years. Open enrollment is now here, guys. If you need insurance, if it's not offered through your company, or if you own a business and you need to get it for your whole company, give these guys a call. They can help you out. Offices in Mullins and Merle's but they're all over the state. You got clients in Aiken, clients in Columbia, Rock Hill, Greer, Myrtle Beach. Wherever you are, give those guys a buzz. TheGeorgeAgency.net, TheGeorgeAgency.net. Open enrollment actually extended this year, November 1st through January 15th. So definitely check out those guys there at the George Agency. And then Secured Advantage Federal Credit Union. They have a clear purpose to improve the lives of their financial lives of their members. Offer much lower loan rates and don't charge the fees that other banks do. Whatever your personal journey, Security Advantage is here to offer you smart financial solutions. Join today at SecurityAdvantageFCU.com. That's SecurityAdvantageFCU.com. Win at banking, thrive at life, member NCUA. So 2 great friends there at the program. Definitely go check them out and tell them Moving the Chains boys sent you. John, let's take a look at 4A here. Want to do Upper State again first, or what order works for you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Upper State 4A. We've got 1 seed AC Flora hosting Indianland, Greenville hosting Walhalla, Westside hosting Greer, York hosting Irmo, South Point hosting Richland Northeast, Easley hosting Lawrence, Greenwood hosting Pickens, Westwood hosting Catawba Ridge in the Upper State there, John. What jumps out at you there in that Upper State 4A bracket?
I think I see one game that I'm really excited about, and that's York hosting Irmo.
The game I'm hoping to go to right now, so it should be a good one.
I think Irmo's a team that's been a little bit up and down.
Yep.
They really impressed in some games, and then you put a little bit of a spotlight on, and they've fallen off. But a team, hey, their only loss in region play was AC4. They played really well. York, a team, they came on toward the end of the season, played really well. They got beat up.
Last week.
Yeah, they got beat
scoring.
up in
That
that
was not a
region
great look,
championship to South Point. But York's a really good team. They're 7-2. I mean, this is a good matchup. Irmo 5-3. But I think Irmo's better than that 5-3 record. I think they're a little bit better than that.
Yeah. Good quarterback. Isaiah Whiteside. If you got a good quarterback at this level, dynamic athlete type deal, you can beat anybody any given night. So if he's on, they're a tough team to look out for. I see a couple possible upsets here as well, John, in round 1. One of them being Lawrence at Easley.
Yes.
A Lawrence team that kind of ended up on a bad side of a tiebreaker there, but it's hard to figure out what to do there when you miss a couple games due to COVID now to make it work out. So Lawrence is the 3 seed, they're undefeated in that region. I think they can go on the road and beat Easley. I believe so. Another one I'm looking at, Greer Westside.
Yes.
Westside can put up some big numbers with Pete Zamora at quarterback there. Greer, a team that's been trending in the right direction for the back half. They started off really poorly. Quarterback play was atrocious for a while there. They're starting to get better and better, put some points on the board. If they can get by Westside, they may get hot there. And then even Catawba Ridge on the road at Westwood. Catawba Ridge has been without quarterback Jaden Davis for 2 weeks now. I don't know if he'll be back in the playoffs. I know he has some concussion issues, I think it was. So he may be back, he may not be back. Westwood had the nice win late over Irmo, it was. had that kind of tie there for the playoffs, three-way tie for first. They come out in the second spot there. Catawba Ridge, with the talent they've got, they can make a run as well.
Yeah, Catawba Ridge started out so well, and then they've fallen off a little bit. Injury bugs will do that to you. But Westwood, I tell you what, Westwood is a team. They have played very well lately. 4-1 in region play. They have really cranked it up here toward the back half of the season. I think that is a really, really good round one game as well.
Yeah.
Catawba Ridge has got to be very, very careful in that one. I feel like they dropped some games lately where we're like, man, they should probably win that game. And this is a game where I feel that way. Where, hey, yeah, Catawba Ridge should win this game, but Westwood is good enough to really could upset them there. And Greer, another team that's been playing better lately, and with Easley's defense, I think that defense is going to give them, Greer Westside in the first round. Westside's defense too. That's a region where they don't play a whole lot of defense. I think that is a good advantage for Greer.
Yeah.
I think Greer is if they get in a shootout, I think they got a much better chance at winning the game than a low-scoring game.
Yeah, a couple comments here. Zach says Lawrence has a kid verbally committed to Vandy and receiver going to be a preferred walk-on at Clemson. Yeah, Jaden McGowan's receiver, really good player there at Lawrence. The quarterback, James Rawls, a kid I like a lot. He's been, we talked about him on the recap show Sunday with Jarrell, that this is a team 2 years ago, head coach Chris Liner running the kind of triple option, wishbone type deal. Now having to kind of transition out of that into more of a passing offense. Last year was a growing year for them. They really put it together this year. Bill says Lawrence shouldn't be in the playoffs. Amy says, yeah, suspect with only 2 region games played. Yeah, that's
fair. That's a fair.
I agree.
Statement.
It's tough to say with this COVID year. We wish we maybe had some better guidelines ahead of the years, like, hey, this is what's going to happen if a team misses the game or whatnot. Because and luckily for Lawrence, or unluckily, if you look at it the other way, they missed the Greenville and Greenwood games. Understandable. But if you're Lawrence, you're like, hey, we beat everybody else. Why? I wish we would have had a shot at those guys.
Yeah.
So you see it from both sides there. I am very glad that Greenville ended up with that 2 seed. Lawrence got the 3. I would have been upset if Greenville had to go down to the 3 seed behind the Lawrence team. But the way it worked out well, I think, where Greenville being the 2, which they should be there instead of having to drop down.
If you look at the region standings, because I don't like it either. I hated the way that the tiebreaker situation worked out. If it happened, thankfully it did not happen. But Lawrence 2-0 in region play. Well, even if they played Greenwood and Greenville and lost and were 2-2, they would still be getting that number 3 seed. Greer went 1-3 in region play. Eastside did not win a game in region play. So, really, when it comes down to it, all said and done, I think it's fair that Lawrence is that 3 seed.
Yeah, Curtis says Lawrence is the team better than their record. That's
I agree with that,
they lost to Clinton early, I believe it was. Can't remember what they lost to, but they've got some, like I said, Raw, McGowan's. They've got some playmakers for
I
they
think
can make some noise.
I want to say did they not play Clinton first game of the year?
May have been
lost because I think I might have picked Lawrence in that game. I thought that was early in the year, and we really weren't sure at that time how good Clinton was. How good Lawrence was.
Yeah.
Clinton won that game. Turns out, and let's see, it was a close game.
I believe it was. But yeah, let's if you want to pull it up or not, it doesn't matter. I want to go through my kind of favorite sleepers here in 4A. A game that I wish this wasn't happening in round 2, John. Greenville, AC Flora. 2 of the more talented teams in all of 4A, upper state, lower state, whatever. At AC Flora, that's a team that's been up and down. Even in some games that they won weren't super impressive. A 13-0 win over Sumter, I believe it was. Okay, so for 5A. I don't think Sumter's very good, personally. They beat Camden 3-0. That kind of surprised me. And they come back to drop a 50-burger on Chapin. They lose to Irmo. All over the board. I think Greenville got the talent to beat them. Will they put it together? I don't know. I think Greenville, I like them in the upper state, and I really like South Point. What they did last week to York really impressed me. McCrory and Jennerette there on offense. They've got Dixon's running back name. I might be wrong about that. They've got the A.J. Miller on defense who can really get some pressure on some guys there. That South Point team is good. I think I may be looking at South Point and Greenville matching up for upper state.
Really?
I think I might be going that way.
That's not what I expected you to say. Very interesting.
Actually, you know what? I misread the bracket. You go ahead and I'll go back to mine. Because the team that I like, I looked over. I don't know how I missed them this much. I love Greenwood. What am I doing? I love the Greenwood football team.
Yeah.
I think Greenwood. It does worry me if they get behind. Can they catch up? The pass game with Rafley and those guys is not the best. But I think Greenwood has enough defensive talent. South Point, I think their kind of Achilles heel has been pass blocking. So Greenwood gets the pressure on the kid there, McCrory. I think Greenwood wins. I think I might see. Okay, Greenwood Greenville rematch Upper State. That's where I'm going.
Okay. All right.
Is that what you thought?
No, actually, it's not.
Oh God.
So I like Greenwood in the Upper State as well.
Yes.
I don't think Greenville makes the best second round.
Really? So you think you got AC Flora?
I think AC Flora. I can put it down. I think AC Flora beats them up.
Really?
I think AC. I think AC Flora is the kind of team that Greenville does not want to play because of how good the defense the Falcons are capable of playing. I think they can frustrate that Greenville offense. We saw that Greenville offensive line that we thought would be really, really good get dominated by a Northwestern. Very good Northwestern team. AC Flora also very good. I don't see Greenville making it very deep.
Okay.
I think Greenwood is the team to beat. And then my sleeper, gosh, I mean, well, you could pick.
It's a lot of sleeper possibilities here, honestly.
Pick half the bracket, honestly.
Yeah.
I'll go my sleeper pick. I'm going to say Irma.
Yeah, I was going to say the winner of that game. Either way, York or Irma, whoever wins that, they can make a run. Amy says Greenwood matchup South Point round 2. No, so Greenwood would play Westwood or Catawba Ridge in round 2. They wouldn't play South Point until that round 3. So couple weeks away there for that potential matchup.
That would be an Upper State semifinal game.
Yep.
If they were to meet. But gosh, I mean, I don't know how I can not talk about AC Flora.
Yeah, that's a good team there. Now let's look at Class 4A Lower State. Myrtle Beach hosting Midland Valley. Cakewalk there for the Seahawks. Midland Valley is not very good. Aiken hosting Hilton Head Island. North Augusta hosting Bluffton. Buford hosting South Florence. South Aiken hosting Wilson. West Florence hosting James Island. May River hosting North Myrtle Beach. Hartsville hosting Airport. John, my possibly favorite game of all the playoff brackets in round 1 could be South Florence at Buford.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game. That's a Buford team we haven't talked about a ton. I think it's a huge advantage that Buford gets to host that game. That's a long trip.
Tough to get down there.
South Florence has been very good, but gosh, and I don't know that Sellers is gonna be back.
He's not. I think he's done for the year. Yeah, McWhite's the guy there right now.
So I think that's tough. That's gonna be a tough game for South Florence. I think that's a really good one too.
You hate it for those guys. Last week they're playing for the region championship. Got down to a 4 seed after losing 2 games in a row there.
I think that's going to be a really good one. And I'll tell you what, I think a game that I just don't know a ton about that I'm excited to see what happens is Aiken hosting Hilton Head Island.
Yeah.
Hilton Head a team with a lot of talent. That'll be an interesting game there. Now, I do want to touch on one thing before we get too far deep here.
Yeah.
I said I was going to look up what Lawrence has done this year.
Yeah.
I thought they played Clinton. They played Clinton week 2. Now, let this sink in, okay? All right? They lost 3 games this year, right? Those 3 games, their opener, they lost in Anderson to T.L. Hanna 23-17.
No shame there.
Next week, they host Clinton. They lost 21-19.
No shame there either.
Nail biter. And then they played 5A, River Bluff, lost that game 21-14. This is a really good Lawrence team.
Yeah, they're good.
Really good Lawrence team.
They're good.
So let's not forget that for those guys.
Yeah, but in this lower state 4A, it's kind of odd here. We look at Upper State now, so there's tons of great games there. Lower state 4A, I don't see a lot that really intrigues me. I think Myrtle Beach wins big. Aiken Hilton Head could be good. I think North Augusta is going to smoke Bluffton, I believe. Future South Florence good. South Aiken is going to kill Wilson. West Florence is going to kill James Island. May River should beat North Myrtle Beach pretty handily. And Hartsville should beat an Airport team that just lost to Bama Gearhart bad last week.
Yeah.
So a lot of kind of snoozers there in the lower state. But John, who's a team that you like to maybe make a run, or maybe your sleeper here in lower state 4A?
Oh boy, I mean it's it's tough to say there's a sleeper because the giant is there.
Yeah.
I think the best team outside of Myrtle Beach is West Florence.
Yeah, and they played them very tough. I think it was 14-7 final, I believe, earlier in the year.
I think that's the one team that could make obviously someone else has to make a run too, right? You're gonna have a lower state championship no matter what. I think West Florence is they're my sleeper to go deep as well.
I think mine is a team that we've not talked much about, South Aiken.
Okay.
You know, they win that region there, and I believe they won it pretty handily. I think they were 7-1, undefeated in the region there. This is not the thoroughbreds has not been talked about much. They've got some good players there. I think if they can get past West in round 2, they're set up in a good spot there to meet Myrtle Beach probably 4 lower states. That's the team I like, but I think I've got to leave Myrtle Beach as my favorite. I've been high on those guys all year for 2 years now, pretty much. So, but yeah, I like South Aiken to make a little run there as well.
Yeah, it's just tough to, with South Aiken because that region just not a very sexy region. North Augusta hadn't been good last few years.
Yeah, kind of down
last
there.
2 years, it's just not a exciting region. So it's hard to tell how good South Aiken is. But hey, as you said, they're 7-1. You can only win the games that you play.
That's right.
And they've been doing it.
That's right. Let's move into 5A here, John. Look at 5A Upper State. I hope Steven stay with us for a while. I know it's been a long time since we started on 2A, but in 1A. But yeah, Steven, we got your Hillcrest Riverside game right here. 5A Upper State, Hillcrest fresh off their demolishing of TL Hanna last week. The game we were at. Hillcrest will host Riverside round 1. Clover hosting Ridgeview. Spartanburg hosting Woodmont. Spring Valley hosting Nation Ford. Gaffney hosting Rock Hill. Kind of throwback matchup there between those two.
It is.
TL Hanna hosting Dorman. Northwestern hosting Boiling Springs. And Burns hosting Malden, John. 5A Upper State, what jumped out at you?
Burns Malden.
Yep.
That's
big game there.
Awesome. Good defense for Malden. And then playing the Burns team. I've talked about Gabe Rogers all year, how much I like him and how much talent. And just Burns looks good on offense.
Yeah.
They look good on offense against Dutch Fork.
Yep.
They can move the ball. They can throw the ball on anybody, I feel like. Really excited about that matchup. I think that's going to be a really, really fun one to watch. I know Martin's given up some points this year, but they just got too much talent on that side of the ball to not take those guys very, very serious.
Yep.
That's going to be a good high power against high power, I think. High power offense against a really good, talented defense.
That'd be a great game there. Another one I'm looking at there. There's 3 or 4 I like. I like TL Hanna Dorman is a good matchup there. A TL Hanna that did not impress us last week, John. But neither did Dorman in their loss to Spartanburg. They gave it a late touchdown to lose that game. Dorman's been so up and down this year. But Coach Gutshaw will probably have a good plan against that TL Hanna defense, which had some big holes Friday night, John.
Yeah, and I'm sure you and Jarrell covered this on the recap show. Let's not forget here. Hanna turned the ball over 3 times in the first quarter Friday. They're not going to do. You don't think they're going to. You don't think they're going to do that Friday. Not many teams do that. And when you do that, you get behind so tough, and especially an offense like that. You don't expect them to do that Friday.
Yep.
So you take that out. I think this is a very good game, and I like Hanna to bounce back really well
At home too.
At home, they're going to have a focus on ball security.
Yeah.
Those first 3 turnovers were all fumbles. And then they turned it all actually 4 times.
They do another pick later, right?
There was a pick toward the end of that game. I think they cleaned that up. They're too well coached of a team to do that 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, but other than that, I think Northwestern is going to blow out Bowling Springs. Bowling Springs is not a good team. Shouldn't be in the playoffs. Gaffney's going to blow out Rock Hill. The other team probably shouldn't be in the playoffs. Hillcrest, they may have trouble with Riverside if their Sanders kids plays. I know he's been injured the last couple of weeks. I don't think he's going to be back. I don't know. Hillcrest too much firepower. They should still win that ball game fairly easily there. Spartanburg should beat Woodmont fairly easily. A couple that I'm looking at, John, and I don't know if any of these teams can make deep runs, but could be good round 1 games. That's Clover Ridgeview.
Could be very good.
2 teams that have been very up and down. Clover starts off with a great win week 0. They have a lot of bad losses. It looked good the last couple of weeks. Ridgeview, we thought they were good. A lot of athletes there. Had some tough losses for them as well. And then Spring Valley Nation Ford. Spring Valley gives South Point their only loss all season. Had a couple losses of their own. And Nation Ford, quarterback Carson Black, put up some points against a good Spring Valley defense. That game could be very, very back and forth as well.
Possibly. I think Spring Valley plays pretty good defense. I think Spring Valley wins that one.
Yeah.
Actually, quarterback Nation Ford, very, very good player, very good athlete. He's going to play somewhere on Saturdays here in a couple of years. I just don't think he's got a ton of help around him.
Yeah.
I just don't. But Nation Ford, they went 2-2 in not that good of a region.
Yeah, I'm talking about, Gaffney is head and shoulders above everybody else in that region. That's clear, I think, there. But looking at 5A Upper State, John, who do you like? Maybe who's your sleeper?
You got to go Gaffney.
Yeah.
You got to go Gaffney as the favorite. I think, they've proved all year that they are the class of the upper state, 4-5A. But I tell you what we have seen in the last few weeks, especially last week out of Hillcrest, you can't sleep on the Rams. Ooh. And we talked about this, and we'll get into it later.
Yeah.
But Hillcrest, they're not going to go on the road. If
They get home for the playoffs.
You got to go to Chandler Stadium. You got to play in
Yeah.
Simpsonville. That's a big deal. But I think, honestly, I don't want to call Hillcrest Flavor of the Week because they were so good Friday. They got a lot of things go their way with the turnovers, of course. They're very good. But to not just be they're my popular team right now. I want to say the sleeper out of, I'm not even going to say Northwestern. Northwestern's really good. But my sleeper is Spring Valley.
Okay.
I think Spring Valley is a team where we just haven't talked about them a ton. They've got some good wins.
They do.
That South Point win. I want to say they beat AC4 early. Maybe they didn't play AC4.
I don't know.
It might be that South Point game I'm thinking of early on. Red School as well.
Yeah.
But I think Spring Valley is they're my sleeper team that we're just not really talking about at the time.
Yeah.
That I think can pull an upset and get some wreck some brackets, so to speak.
Yeah, I think Gaffney is the favorite as well. I think if you're Gaffney, you look forward. The problem for them is they don't have an easy road. Even in round 2, you're probably getting TL Hanna or Dorman, a Dorman team that plays you within 7 points, or a TL Hanna team that beat you in the playoffs last year. TL Hanna, like we say, is that if you don't play discipline, don't play smart football, they're gonna score on you, and you're gonna be it's gonna be a hard time to play catch up against those guys. And if they get past that, they got probably Northwestern or Burns sitting there in round 3. So a tough road for Gaffney.
Burns team's playing a lot better now.
Yes,
playing a lot better defense.
Tough road for Gaffney, but I think they are the favorite. In that top half, it sets up really good for Hillcrest there in that top quadrant.
It really does. I like I think Spartanburg has been playing better.
They have.
I love Coach Hodge. I think he does a great job in year 2 now. The Vikings look more like what we expected a Spartanburg program led by Hodge would look like. I think they're tough, but I'll tell you what, tough.
Yeah. And that was a matchup. If we do get Spartanburg Hillcrest, Spartanburg beat Hillcrest earlier in the year, I believe, week 2, 3, something like that. But I like Hillcrest with a lot of talent. McFadden, Judy, Wisniewski, Neal, Colgan, those guys can really score it. I think they make a little bit of a run here. Like I said, Gaffney's the favorite. But the team that I like a lot, Northwestern. Will Madison, very good football player there at the quarterback position. Got Trevor Richard out there. They've got Caldwell and those guys out wide for him. A D-line that gets after it hard there. I worry if when they play Gaffney, if Gaffney has too much size for them up front, can really beat up on them. Another sleeper, John, I feel like I've named everything in the bracket now as a possible sleeper. Burns. We've seen them score 60 in certain games here. And now the defense seems to be playing a little bit better the last couple of weeks.
Much
If they get by Malden, maybe they get hot. I don't know, but I still think everybody's chasing the Indians and chasing Gaffney here in this upper side.
I think so too, but for Gaffney, gosh, you got those guys in the rear view. They're coming.
Yeah.
They're coming. And the thing that I like, I know we got a lot of Gaffney listeners here, and they're probably rolling their eyes. I'm not saying any of these guys are better than Gaffney, but they're playing really good football right now.
Yeah.
And, I've said this time and time again, and I've been wrong sometimes, for sure. But you get these young kids, you get some confidence, you get some momentum. That is a dangerous, dangerous recipe. If you went to Hillcrest right now and you talk to those kids, they probably don't think there's a team in the state that can do. They probably want to say, hey, let's play Dutch Fort.
Yeah.
And gosh, what they did Friday was so impressive. They got a ton of momentum. Northwestern's got, they've had such a good season. They're probably their biggest game of the year was, or at least later in the year, was playing that Greenville game.
Yeah, Greenville Spring Valley probably their biggest games. Yeah. South Point early in the year.
Dominated Greenville. Yeah, South Point, that was the first game of the year for those guys. A little rivalry game, anything can happen, but Northwestern, another team is really good. Spring Valley, I tell you what, Spring Valley, that's a proud program. That's where the Bowl Wearers came out of. We're here, and I'm sure we're not the only ones talking about Gaffney, Northwestern, talking about Spartanburg's playing better, Burns, and that's what I love about when we get to the playoffs, because then you got Spring Valley. Spring Valley's going, hey, we don't care.
Yeah,
we'll play anybody. Quit talking about these upper state teams. You got to play us too.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to see how much Spring Valley can mix it up with these some of these guys too.
Yeah, should be a fun 5A upper state. Moving to the 5A lower state, not as much drama, I don't feel like, John. You've got Dutch Fork hosting Sockasty, Cane Bay hosting Ashley Ridge, Sumter hosting White Knoll, West Ashland hosting Stratford, Goose Creek hosting Somerville, Lexington hosting Conway, Fort Dorchester hosting Berkeley, and Carolina Forest hosting Chapin. I mean, Dutch Fork's the favorite here. They've got to be, John. But as far as round one goes, I think Lexington Conway could be interesting. And also think Carolina Forest Chapin could be an interesting matchup as well.
Yeah, the Carolina Forest Chapin game jumped out to me. The Carolina Forest team that they haven't been great, but they've been 5-4.
Mm-hmm.
The only region game that they lost was to Sumter. Sumter's been a really, really good team. We haven't talked about them a ton, but they're still really good. And Chapin's been a little bit up and down. Obviously they're in that tough region with Dutch Fork. Mm-hmm. That could be really good. I think lower state wise, that's probably the best matchup that we've got going for us. And I think another really fun game, this is another one where you mentioned a game before. I think in 4A, it's like, hey, it's not really, I don't think any of these things are going to go for.
Yeah.
But Goose Creek Somerville is going to be a really fun game.
Goose Creek, really good running back. The Simmons kid can really, really run. But I think we both got, correct me if I'm wrong here, John. Dutch Fork favorite for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, Dutch Fork's your favorite. Playing for second, probably. I like Fort Dorchester a whole lot. It's a very good football team in there. Zoltan Osborne, I like him. Other than that, I don't love anybody in this lower state, really, besides Dutch Fork and then Fort Dorchester.
Yeah, my sleeper is Sumter.
Yeah. Don't want to talk about those guys again, I thought, this year.
And gosh, the talent they had on the defensive line, got hurt earlier in the year, not playing. And we kind of felt like, or at least myself, I was like, oh, gosh, they lost their best player. Time to write those guys off.
Yep.
But they just kept winning.
They did.
They're 8-1. They went undefeated in region play. I think their one loss was it the AC Flora?
Yes.
A 10-3 game, maybe?
I think 13-0, I believe it was. Yeah.
Really close game. To me, honestly, there's not much shame in that.
Yeah. Oh, no, not a bad loss.
AC Flores really showed up for a few games, and that was one of the ones. That was probably AC Flores' best game all year.
Mm-hmm.
But Sumter's my sleeper because they're really good, and as good as Dutch Fork is, that they played Burns, they played Greenwood,
Spartanburg.
they played Spartanburg. They played some really good teams. But I guarantee you, Sumter's probably sitting there going, "Hey, they haven't played us yet.
Yeah,
they haven't played us." So I think Sumter's they're a little bit of my sleeper. I think they could make some.
Yeah, actually, I've been high all year on Fort Dorchester. I love the quarterback there, the Osborne kid. They can really score. I don't know if they've got the defense to beat Dutch Fork. I don't know. We'll see about that. But that's who we like there in 5A. Cavante Lunde says Pillion at Timberland. Yeah, I think we both like Timberland there. Pillion has had a couple decent wins.
They're playing better.
Yeah, Timberland just that one loss there to Philip Simmons late in the year. Still a very good football team. The Wolves can really score it and really play defense as well. I think the Wolves win that, can make a deep run, certainly in 2A, John. But I think that's all of our 5A stuff. I want to give a quick shout out again to our friends at the Georgia Agency, Bradley, Wayne Richard, and the crew there. Serving the insurance needs to tough for over 35 years. Concentrating on employee benefits and health insurance in Austin, Mullins, and Merrill's End. They can be all across the state. GeorgiaAgency.net. That's the GeorgiaAgency.net. And then our friends over at Secured Advantage Federal Credit Union. They have a clear purpose to improve the financial lives of their members. They offer much lower loan rates and don't charge the fees that other banks do. Whatever your personal journey, Secured Advantage is here to offer you smart financial solutions. Join today at securedadvantagefcu.com. That's securedadvantagefcu.com. Win at banking, thrive at life. Member NCUA. I want to tell you, John, I think our pick'em wrapped up last week. I apologize, guys. I haven't had time to table the scores yet. I'll probably get that for you either this week or next week. Our winner will get you your prize, I promise. Don't worry about that. But appreciate you guys tuning in to all that and being a part. We had about 50 people in it each week, so it was really cool to see that and how that went. John, anything else you want to hit on the playoffs? I know we've seen Patrick going to 5A just in time. Yeah, Patrick, we think, honestly, looking forward, we're probably looking at the Gaffney Dutch Fork matchup. I think is what we're looking at here, I think, in 5A, John. But
I think Upper State's going to be fun to watch. So.
Yeah, Upper State should be fun. There's a lot of teams that can get hot. I think none of them are probably as talented as Gaffney, but they're playing some good ball right now. Like teams like Northwestern and Hillcrest and guys like that are playing well. Spartanburg even.
Yeah, Spartanburg win.
But yeah, we think the Indians are certainly the favorite there, 5A Upper State, John. But any other playoff thoughts here before we get out of here for the night?
I do want to just mention this, and I will probably do this every week just to remind people because it's a little bit different. But the Weekend of Champions, I didn't vote on it. not my idea. But to give you a rundown on what will be going on here first week of December, weekend of champions, it is 3 days of football: Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Sounds good in theory.
Not when you live in the upstate and all the championships are in Columbia. But every game will be held at Johnson Stadium. That is the newly redone, very nice facility there at Benedict in Columbia, downtown Columbia. That stadium, if you're not sure, it is a little bit behind Benedict. It is off of Two Notch Road, right before you're getting down to Forest Drive and Taylor Street, where they split right there at Two Notch. But very nice facility. Every game will be there. Not Williams-Brice. Every game at Benedict Johnson Stadium. It leads off with the 4A game Thursday night at 7. That's the only game on Thursday. And then Friday, we've got 2 games. So the first game will be the 3A game at 2 p.m. on a Friday. May have to take off work that Friday.
That's going to be a whale of a matchup there in 3A.
And then Friday night at 7 o'clock will be the 2A game. That could be a fun game, too.
Should be.
And then on Saturday, we have 2 more. Starting at noon will be the 1A game, and then at 5 will be the 5A game there on Saturday. So interesting setup how they have. I like how they used to do it. If none of you guys remember, when I was growing up, it was really cool. You had this one. You had the Big 16. So the Big 16. I remember Greenwood playing a lot in that game. Rock Hill was in the other half of it, or maybe it was Big 16 Saturday. Anyways, you had a 4A game on Friday night. That was the only game on Friday night. It was at Williams-Brice. It was a pretty big deal. And then Saturday you start at 10 a.m. I think it was 2A led off, and then at noon around 1 you had the 5A game, which is really cool. And then you had
I guess it would have been Big 16 back then. So
then you had 3 I'm getting my classifications all mixed up now. Because you had the 4A game on Friday night, and then you had 1A, and then you had 4A at 1, and then you had the 2A game after that, was typically around 4, and then the nightcap was the 3A game, which was always fun, which is now 4A. But that 3A game was always the closing game. That was a good setup because you got to go. I never went Friday night, but we would go Saturday.
Yep.
Get down to the stadium, 9, 10 o'clock, get a morning football game.
Can't beat it.
All day, all night, and really, really cool. So they need to go back to that.
Yeah, we're going to try to make it to a couple of those, but we'll have to see with work schedules and whatnot how we can make it work. It's a bit of a mess covering 3 days there for sure. But appreciate all you guys' comments today. We really helped the show go by. We plan on doing, like I said, each round, so we'll do another next Tuesday for round 2. So definitely tune in and give us your thoughts on that, and even looking back at what happened this week as well. But this is your first time. Appreciate you guys. Like our page, like our video here. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Movin the Chains, MOVINCHAINS. We'll put this audio-only version up on podcast, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify here shortly. We do a recap show on Sundays. Goes all from the same places there, so definitely check out all that stuff. May have some good interviews coming for you guys. We'll see here in the playoffs. We get some good coach lineup. I know they're busy, so we'll see how it goes. But hopefully got some good things coming for you guys soon. But a couple more comments here I want to say. Chad Berman says the defensive line at Fort Dorchester is good. So that could be an interesting matchup there if they get there. A couple more here, talking some 1A stuff. But a lot of good football to be played, John. I'm really excited about it. I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, I can't wait. First round, I'm sure we'll have a couple upsets, a couple things that we didn't realize. That happens every week. But then, as we go, it's going to get better and better and better and better. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, so for John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been the Movin the Chains round 1 South Carolina High School football preview show. We will catch you guys next week.